welcome to the Cedar Arrows podcast. My name is Rebecca, and I am thrilled that you are here with me today. I think this is episode 11 of my podcast. I have been recording, I started the podcast nearly 2 years ago, but my recording has been kind of hit or miss depending on what is going on in my life, and so I'm not here always as regularly as I would like to be, but I am glad to be back with you for a chat today. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as HappyHomemaker05. And this channel, this podcast are named after my family's homestead. I live on a small homestead in Alabama with my husband and our 6 children, and we have a small menagerie of critters. So sometimes you will hear me talking about things like homesteading and homeschooling, and often there's a little bit of reading, but mostly this is a knitting podcast. So I am thrilled that you are here with me today, and I hope that you will find something here that you enjoy. Today I am sitting here working on a sock for my son, and all of my children are at my parents' house today, so I thought this would be a perfect time to record. I wasn't thinking about the fact that we are also dog sitting for my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and so we have, in addition to our 2 dogs, we have 2 other dogs in the house this week, and 3 of the 4 are large and energetic, and they're all very loud, so we'll see how that goes. I have my 2 in the room here with me because they're usually quieter when they're with me than when there's a door closed between me and them. The other 2 are in their crate because I tried having all 4 of them in here with me, and that wasn't working. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they won't be too noisy. But since I am working on this and have already given you a peek, I guess we will talk about whips first. So grab your knitting and let's jump in. The first project I will share with you is this sock that I'm working on for my son. My initial thought was that this would be his Christmas sock, but I also have to knit birthday socks between now and Christmas. So they might be for Christmas if I get another pair done in time for his birthday. They might be birthday socks, and I might be working on Christmas when birthday rolls around. We will see how that goes. But whatever the case, these are for a gift for my youngest son. This is the Filicini base from Knit Picks, which I guess is just kind of an upgrade, a little bit of a change from the Felici that they had for so long. It's similar in that it has the brightly colored stripes in several different colorways. But the main difference is, that I've noticed anyway, is that it's a 100-gram skein instead of a 50-gram skein. So I just have to buy 1 for the kids' socks instead of buying 2. This is the first project I've knit on with this, and I've been pretty pleased overall. It doesn't feel as sturdy as the Knit Picks, as the Felici in the last couple of years had been. Their base had changed a little bit, and it was a little more toothy, a little more durable, and I actually liked that. I liked the toothier base better than the smoother one that had previously been Felici. I don't actually know if the fiber content has changed between Felici and the new Filicini, but so far I've been pretty pleased with it. I really do appreciate that lower price point when I knit for the kids. Just because I knit for so many of them so frequently, and they can be kind of rough on socks, and so there's much less pressure when it's a very inexpensive pair of socks. So this colorway, I don't think I mentioned that. This colorway is called Sunday Game Day. My sons are all big into sports, and that was just a fun name, but these colors are also very much the right colors for my youngest son, who mostly loves green everything, but then also blue. So I think he will really like these. I've mentioned before that some of my kids are a little more aware of my knitting than others are, and he has seen this. He's one of the more aware ones, so he might not be surprised when he sees this, but having Christmas and birthday kind of close together, sometimes even if they have seen the socks that they are going to receive, they don't know which ones they're going to get first, or they might have seen one pair but not the other. And so I try to keep a little bit of element of surprise to it, but I don't know who I think I'm kidding. They all know they're getting socks. And they all see me working on socks all summer, so it is what it is. But so far I'm enjoying the sock, I'm enjoying the yarn, and I think he will really like them. I keep forgetting to mention things, so I hold it back up. This is a very simple knit purl texture pattern. The pattern is called Mustard Seed Socks, and I wrote down the name of the designer. Let me see. It's the Mustard Seed Socks by Kieran Pegg on Ravelry. So I have had this pattern for years because I used the heel from this pattern for my husband's socks. He has almost really absolutely flat feet. And so the heel flap and gusset that I use for everybody else in the family just doesn't really work for his foot so well. And so years ago, when I was trying to figure out a good sock recipe for my husband, I found, I don't even remember how I came across this pair. I think it's a free pattern. It might be $1 or $2, but I think it was free. And it has a short row heel, which I had never knit before. So I was trying to find a pattern that had the short row heel written out for me. And I have used that ever since. Never looked back. It fits his feet perfectly. So for years, probably 6, 7, maybe 8 years, I have been knitting the heel of this sock, but I've never actually knit the stitch pattern of this sock. So I wanted something really simple and that I wouldn't have to count. One of the finished objects, I'll show you later, the socks I knit for my other son recently, was a very simple knit purl texture, but I had to keep count or stop and look at it. And as I've mentioned before, I knit and read at the same time a lot. That's how I get a lot of my reading time. And if I can't really pay attention to the book while I'm knitting, then something ends up falling by the wayside, one or the other. And so after having kind of a bout of needing to put down the sock or the book, I really wanted something that I didn't have to think about. So it's just the texture rows are short repeats of knitting and purling. And so it's just very easy to kind of get into a rhythm and not have to actually count each time. If that makes sense. Anyway, I am enjoying the project. It's a good project. All my sons and my husband like to wear their knit socks with their dress clothes. So most of them wear hand knit socks every time they go to church, which is every Sunday and then every Wednesday night. So they want a tall leg. They want it to be fully up underneath their pant leg and not have any gap. So they all like a 10-inch leg. And it is amazing to me how a 10-inch leg can feel so long until they put them on their legs. And I'm like, that's a short little sock. The girls like shorty socks. And so it just, the 10 inches feels so long. And then, like I said, I see them put the sock on and I'm like, well, that's not really very long, but okay. So anyway, this, I don't know, I don't have a tape measure, but this is not too far away. So if I really wanted to, I could probably get to the heel by the end of the day today. We'll see if I actually get that done. But anyway, these colors are just so happy, aren't they? I really like it. Also, I just have to show off my cute little bag. This is a Peter Pan fabric, I think Riley Blake. I think that's right. I think it's Riley Blake that has done a lot of different fairy tale and story motif prints, and their Neverland line is one of my favorites. I love it so much. I bought the bag from the Ginger U on Etsy probably 5 or 6 years ago, So I don't know that you could still get this bag, but I love it so much. I love Peter Pan. Look at the cute floral interior. But I really, really, really like this. And so I found fabric on Etsy after the bag came, and I was just even more in love with it in person. I found fabric and made myself some DPN cozies and a Notions pouch to match. So I just think they're so sweet. And so this is the bag my kids' socks usually go in, you know, the whole never grow up thing. I do want them to grow up and have good lives, but I also kind of want them to stay little. We're past little, but anyway, I just love it. I have always loved, this is going to be another rambly one, guys, sorry, but kids aren't here to distract me, so so I will distract myself. But I have always loved Peter Pan, but several years ago, I'd had a really difficult year. We'd had deaths in the family, and my husband was deployed, and it had been a rough year. And my brother and my cousin and I went to Disney World, just the three of us, without children. I had never been to Disney World before. They both had. They were kind of the pros, and so I just said, tell me where to go and when to be there, and I will do whatever you want me to do. And that was fabulous. I don't enjoy planning trips. I would rather just be along for the ride, not be the responsible party. So it was perfect. But I got such a kick out of this one evening in Magic Kingdom. My brother said, okay, so there's this ride that's been around forever and it's kind of boring, but it's kind of one that you really need to do because it's been around so long. And it was the Peter Pan's Flight ride. And I was really expecting it to just be kind of a ho-hum thing, but I loved it. It was one of my favorite moments of the whole week. And the queue was not very long because it's not one of the more popular rides apparently. So we got right back in line and did it again, and I absolutely loved it. It was just so cute. And there was, you know, it's a ride that is very friendly for little bitty children, not like a thrill ride or anything, but there were some elements of surprise to it. I just loved it. And so then, and like I said, I already loved Peter Pan. I've read the book a few times. But after that, we came home from that trip, that was the thing that kept sticking on my mind as one of my favorite experiences. And then I accidentally purchased this bag very shortly after that. So it gives me all the happy feelings. I love the fabric. I have several of I think I've shown y'all probably before. I have several different bags that are the story lines from Riley Blake. I have The Wizard of Oz and Little Women. That's probably the one you've seen most recently, or maybe the only one you've seen. Anyway, love that fabric. I don't sew very much, but when I find that fabric, I come up with something to make. Okay, so whip number 1, and I've already been talking for 15 minutes. So whip number 2. This is the very tiny baby beginnings of the second sock for my oldest daughter. Last time I recorded, I showed you, let me borrow get this on a blocker. I thought I was prepared. There's always something I forget to do. Last time I recorded, I showed you a sock that I think all I had left to do is graft the toe. And that is the pattern is a twist on stripy socks by Dana Ray Makes. It's got this really fun kind of faux cable detail. The yarn is Knit Picks Static in the WJM colorway. It's very much my oldest daughter's favorite, like all the pink all the time, and she loves her hand knit socks. So I've had this yarn in my stash waiting for socks for her for a while. And these will be Christmas or birthday. I got the other pair for her already done. Her birthday is not long after Christmas, and so I always try to get them both done by Christmas. So yay, progress. But anyway, I said that day that I would probably cast on the next sock immediately after recording, and then I wasn't able to. I think I actually cast on like 3 stitches. So I mean, technically I started. But I was really focusing on finishing other socks for my son because his birthday was coming up. And so this went into the bag and didn't come back out until that sock was done for my son. But yesterday I picked it back up, and now the cuff is done and I'm ready to start the patterning. And this is a fun, quick, very simple repeat. So I'm excited to get back into it. But again, the pattern is a twist on stripy socks. It's designed by Dana Ray Makes. She's on Ravelry and Instagram, and she's just lovely. I love knitting her patterns because they're well done and they're cute and they're fun to knit, but I also just love supporting her because she's such a lovely person. So this is not a front burner project because I have until December or January to give them to her, but I am trying to get as many socks done this summer as I can. We are halfway through August, so just get as many more sock rows out of the way before sock camp ends, summer sock camp hosted by the Crazy Sock Lady. I usually just try to crank out as many kids socks as I can because of all the birthdays and Christmas socks that I knit. So maybe I can finish this by the end of summer sock camp. I don't know if I can finish this and that other pair entirely, but we'll see how it goes. This one is living in just a little zippy pouch from Tom Ben. I have really enjoyed my Tom Ben luggage that I've had for several years. It's a small company based in Seattle, completely American made, lifetime warranty, fabulous bags. As with everything else these days, prices have gone up continually, so I won't be buying any more Tom Ben for the foreseeable future, but I love what I have. And this is maybe my favorite thing that company makes. They're designed to be more of a packing cube, but they are perfect for sock projects. So I have 3 or 4 of them, and I just love them. So, and this one's a really pretty purple color. I always record, the best light I can get is for me to be facing a window, so I never really can tell exactly how well things show up for y'all, but then it always works out okay when I'm looking at the video later. So I'm going to assume that you're seeing things fine. So I have one other whip that I've really been working on lately, but I'm not quite ready to show that one yet. So that's really it. Just those 2 whips right now. I guess I'll go into finished objects then. I do have more finished objects this time than I have whips, which is unusual. So first off, I finished this Anchor's jacket that I showed last time. Isn't it sweet? Oh, I just love it. So this is a well-known pattern, Anchor's jacket by Petite Knit. It is a lovely pattern, very simple. It comes in several different sizes, and I just love this simple ribbed yoke. I love a yoked sweater, and I like how this one is so simple to make but looks so nice. I just really like the ribbing. This yarn is Rainforest Heather. The colorway is Rainforest Heather. The yarn is Knit Picks Swish DK. And I knit the 6 to 9 month size, and it took, let me see, they're coming 50-gram balls. I didn't weigh it, but I got into the 3rd skein, but not until I was on the 2nd sleeve, I think. So, you know, I bought 150 grams of yarn and have quite a bit left over. So I don't know. I've thought about, I have plans for something else to knit for this same baby, but maybe I'll use the leftover yarn and make him a matching hat. I don't know. I just think it's so sweet. I wasn't knitting yet when I had babies, and I have always wished, since I started knitting, I have wished that I was. Excuse me. Since I started knitting, I have wished that I had been a knitter back then, because there is nothing sweeter than a squishy little baby in hand knits. But I just knit for all the babies that I can. And my daughter reminds me all the time that someday I can knit for her children. So yeah, highly recommend this pattern. It's very easy to follow, very quick to work up for a baby, obviously. It just makes the sweetest little sweater. I just have wooden buttons. I actually got these at Walmart, I think. But I like a simple wooden button for baby garments. I feel like I was going to say something else about that, but I can't remember what it was. So, anyway. Oh, I did say when I recorded last that I would hopefully have that. Really, I wanted to have that to the baby by now. That just didn't end up being feasible. So, he's still not big enough to wear it even yet. So, he will have it in time to wear it. I have a couple of things that I'll talk about later. One or two other things I might make for him, and then I'll get it all ready to mail together. So very happy with that one. It felt really good to get that off the needles and be able to move on to his next little gift. This morning, I finished the knitting yesterday, and then this morning I wove in all of the ends and sewed on all the buttons. And that took me exactly the amount of time that it took to listen to one of Knitty McPurley's most recent episodes. So, I mean, it was crazy. I turned it on, sat down and got started, and was putting my needle away as the episode ended. So that was perfect. I'll block it this afternoon, but I didn't want to try that before recording today. So I'm glad to have that one ready to go. Next, I will show you my finished socks for my son. This is the Bunny Trail sock pattern by Elizabeth of Holly Press Fibers. The gray yarn is Quince & Co. Turn in the Mist colorway, and then the blue is a Knit Picks Hawthorne that I bought undyed, and I dyed myself. Excuse me. I had the other one on the blocker, but then I had to take it off to put on that other sock. So anyway, it's done too. It's over here. Funny story. Today is Thursday. Yesterday we went to Bible class. We always have a midweek Bible class at our church on Wednesday nights. He always wears his hand knit socks to Bible class. He stayed with my grandparents after church, and I realized after we were already in town, I was getting ready to leave, I said, "Oh, I need your socks. I'm going to record tomorrow." So literally pulled these off his feet to show them. He kind of folded them up and handed them to me, and I was like, "Ooh, well, that's great." Picked them up this morning to show, and they were dirtier than I realized. So I threw them in the bath real quick, just gave them a quick sink bath. So they are actually still damp, but I figured it was better to show them damp than gross. He's 14. Anyway. So I finished these. I finished these just in time for his birthday. I ended up spending several hours in the ER with a family member who had an accident. So I finished these a couple of days before his birthday, but I didn't actually weave in the ends until after I gave them to him. So he pulled them out of the bag, and I knew I was going to have to kind of sneakily weave in the last couple of ends, but I had them tucked inside and thought maybe he wouldn't notice. But then he pulled them out of the gift bag, and I still had my little Jemima Puddle Duck Progress Keeper on the sock. And I was like, that's just what it is this week. He doesn't mind. He was very appreciative and got a good laugh out of the fact that I had to take them back and weave in the ends right after he opened them. At least they, at least I only had to weave in ends and not finish knitting, right? So he's happy with them. They have a little bit of room to grow, which is just what I wanted. But not so much room that he can't wear them right now, you know. So that was struck a good balance there. And he is pleased with them, and I am pleased with them. And on to the other socks now. Let's see, my next finished object was almost a finished object last time. I really just had to put this toe on. But they are both finished now, and they are put away in my closet for Christmas or birthday for my middle daughter. This was a sock set that was a surprise gift from my sweet friend Renee. She is Schwinde Mama on Instagram, and the internet is such a fun place, you know, when people are nice. There's a lot of good out there, and it's so nice to meet people that I would never have met otherwise. So I met her through Emily and Deborah of Yarnberry and Candy Shop Yarns. I think they're real life friends, which is awesome. But she and I have just become friends through Instagram and podcasts over the last year or more. And this spring I came home from a week-long trip away and had this package in the mail. And I was so excited. It was such a sweet surprise. So it was a sock set of a 100-gram skein and then 2 coordinating minis. And I immediately loved it, and I almost immediately knew who I was going to be knitting that yarn for, because this is very much my daughter's jam. She's really into earthy, blues are her favorite, but she's really into the subdued earthy tones. I mean, like I am. So this is also very much a thing I would wear. But I think it's so pretty. And because I knit her a shorty sock, I actually think I have enough left that I could knit me some shorties as well. But this is, I don't think I said that. This is from, oh, I lost it. Yarnaceous Fibers, that's it. Yarnaceous Fibers sock set. It was the Duchess Dinos sock set. And the sock pattern is Hermione's Everyday Socks, which everybody knows and loves. It's a free pattern by Erica Luder on Ravelry. And it is always the first pattern that I send anybody to when they're trying to branch from vanilla socks to a pattern sock. This is the pattern I send them to because it's so simple. It's also the first pattern sock I knit, so maybe that's why. But I am very happy with those. They were so lovely to knit. The yarn is just so soft. And I don't remember, I don't have the tag because I bound these off a while ago now. I don't have the tag handy. I don't remember if there's anything extra special in the fiber content. Maybe it's just that merino. Anyway, it's lovely. Beautiful. So I have, that's a sock, 2 socks, and 1 sweater, finished objects. So that feels pretty good. It's been a little longer since I recorded. It took me a while to get that last episode up because we had so much going on. Just literally did not have time to focus on editing that silly episode. So it has been longer since I recorded than it has been, you know, by almost 2 weeks longer since I recorded than since I uploaded the episode. So my memory is a little fuzzy with some of the things, like what I've said to you and what I haven't. But that's all the whips and all the FOs I have to share today. So I wanted to talk for a few minutes about knitting plans because, you know, there's always a queue. There's never enough time. I did manage, after the last episode that I recorded, to pull out the crosswalk cowl that I showed you. I honestly can't wait to cast it on again. I'm kind of focusing on the gift knits right now, but we have a camping trip, our homeschool camp, family camp that we do every autumn is coming up in several weeks, and I'm wondering if this would be maybe the perfect thing to take there, because it is so rhythmic and almost mindless, but not entirely. So one person mentioned in a comment last time that I could do my I-cord edging in a larger needle size, and I've thought about that. It might be a little fiddly because the way the pattern works, but I mean, if it ends up with a better product in the end, then it's worth the extra little bit of fiddly attention for that part. So I might do that. We'll see. I'll let you know. And it's still living in my Narnia bag, and I love it. Oh yeah, the yarn, I told y'all this last time, and you will see it again, but this is from Holly Press Fibers. It's a lovely speckly green, and it's a sock set called the Lamppost. So that is a Narnia inspired colorway in my Narnia bag. I love it. Another thing that I'm planning to knit pretty soon is a Nubelshin doll for the same little baby that I made the sweater for. So, excuse me, it is not cast on. Today I gathered needles and yarn after finishing up that sweater, but I think this is what I'm going to do. I can't really tell if that's blowing out. If it is, I'm sorry. This is just a very creamy color that I'll use for the skin, and then this is a dark tonal green. This is my leftovers from one of my Alaska Venture Co projects, and I think that will be a fun. I like to do something that is, for these little baby toys, I like to do something that is machine washable, and I prefer to do somewhat darker colors so that, you know, if they do get kind of grimy, it doesn't show as much. But I think this green will be really nice for a baby boy. So it's in another one of my Tom Band pouches, and I would like to get this cast on by the end of the week, but I don't know. This week is very busy. We'll see. No pressure. One other thing that I am really hoping to knit for myself is another cowl. I'll put a picture up here, but it is the Vernal Strata cowl by Emily of the Yarn Brary. It calls for one full skein of tonal solid type yarn and then a set of 5 mini skeins. And I love that idea. I love the way it looks. Right now I have been really focused really all year on the gift knitting. I haven't gotten around to knitting for me as much lately, which is fine. I really love the gift knitting. That's not a complaint, but one of these days I hope to get around to doing that one. I don't have yarn. Well, could use some scraps. I probably have scraps I could put together, but I don't have yarn picked out for that yet. It's just one that I'm kind of dreaming of for down the road. I also have 6 more pairs of kids socks to knit, not counting the ones I'm currently working on. I did that math earlier. I'm pretty sure that's accurate. I keep second guessing myself, but as I've mentioned before, I try to get all the kids' socks done well before Christmas. I've got 1 more kid birthday this month, and then 2 more before Christmas, and then 2 more very shortly after Christmas. So when so I'm doing 6 for Christmas and 6 for birthdays. So I'm halfway through the 12 pairs. Well, not quite, because 2 of those are still whips. But after the whips, I have 6 more pairs to do. And I think I have to go back through my stash again. I think that I have enough yarn that I can cobble all that together without having to order more yarn. I did recently buy a couple of skeins of the Peyton's Croy, the 50 gram skeins. I would just happen to be at Joann with a coupon, so might as well, right? But I'm having to get creative working from stash to knit for the boys, because I don't have as many colorways that they're going to like. The more masculine, and for two of the boys, they want them a little more subdued. One of my boys is okay with bright, but I'm having the harder time knitting solely from stash for them than for the girls. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't think I have to buy any more yarn for them. So let me see. I think that's all that I had to talk about. Close. All the knitting anyway. I always enjoy sharing something good toward the end of my podcasts. I talk with my kids a lot about entertainment choices and the things we choose to focus our minds on, and just always looking for the good and the true and the beautiful. And so, for instance, with they're all big readers, and so we talk about this with movies too, but more with books, how we want to find things that build up that sense of the good and the true and the beautiful, and that bring our focus to those things in some way. And how sometimes we might not find the perfect trifecta of good, true, beautiful, because sometimes things are true but not good, or they might be a couple of the things and not a third. But we always try to find things that will help us focus on good, true, beautiful. So that being said, that is a thing that I also try to do here, is focus on and point toward the good, the true, and the beautiful. So I enjoy sharing toward the end. It's usually not knitting related. Sometimes it is, but something good that is bringing me joy lately. And it hit me as I was getting my show notes ready this morning. I haven't really talked about sourdough on the podcast because I had that 3-month hiatus, that accidental hiatus from the podcast through the late spring and early summer. But, and if you follow me on Instagram, you know this already. You've seen it. But after years of failed attempts, I finally feel like I have hit my stride with sourdough, and it has been so much fun. And I know it's kind of trendy right now, and that's okay. I love that we're kind of turning more toward self-sufficient things and working kitchens and things that have been in families for generations, that we're kind of seeing a resurgence in those things, just like we've seen a resurgence in the fiber arts over the last few years. But I am just really, really enjoying it. I'm not sure when I last bought sandwich bread. My kids are completely spoiled now, and I love it. So I just wanted to share a couple of the resources that have helped me. I have used, first of all, Simplicity and a Starter on Instagram. Almost everything she posts I'm going to try, because every recipe I've made so far has been amazing. We recently made sourdough, I always get the order wrong, but it's peanut butter, banana, and chocolate chip muffins, and they are so good. For just a simple, a plain loaf of bread, I have used Outdoor Apothecary and their starter and bread recipes. It is such a simple recipe. The starter is it's really pretty forgiving. I always thought that sourdough was going to be really rigid, and that doesn't really work well in my lifestyle, but it's been a lot more forgiving than I thought. And so that's been really encouraging to just realize that I'm not necessarily going to kill it. I can experiment and figure out what works for me. So that's been really nice. Another blog Instagrammer that I have found that I have appreciated. I haven't used as many of her recipes. I'm newer to this one, but Farmhouse on Boone. I'm enjoying seeing what she shares, and it's just been so much fun. So I don't know. Here's your sign to try making bread. To try something you've wanted to do. Even if you've tried it 12 times, try it again. Because you never know. This time might take. I was joking with my husband recently, and I said, you know, my kids might not ever brag on my sense of style or my organization skills, or, you know, you name it. There's a lot of things they might not brag about, but they do tell their friends about the food I feed them, and I think that's pretty cool. So we have tried pretzels, and we've done bagels, and we've done corn dogs. That was a huge hit. And all of our sandwich bread anymore. And then I've got 2 loaves cooling right now for spaghetti to have with spaghetti tonight. So that has been a lot of fun, very rewarding. Other things going on with us, we homeschool, as I'm sure you already know. So we don't exactly follow the traditional public school schedule. I know everybody's kind of starting back to school right now, and we usually don't start back the same time that most of the world does, or most of our country. I don't know. So when they were smaller, we would usually start back in July. We started back early. Now, because of some things that are kind of consistent year to year in our schedule, we don't usually break for summer as early, and we usually start back later in the year, September, October. So this year we have not really taken a full break. We have changed our assignments a little bit. They've gotten a break from some of their heavier subjects, but then we've kind of brought back in some of the subjects that we were wanting to catch up a little bit or get a little bit ahead on. So, you know, they've been doing things like science and handwriting, and of course we always do Bible and reading no matter whether we're doing school or not. So I've really enjoyed that schedule this year. Helps to give us a little bit of structure through the summer. And so we'll keep doing that through August and most of September, and then we'll really get back to the books in our normal full routine in October. And that's really worked well for us the last couple of years. So I'm excited. It gives me a little bit more time after the really busyness of summer to kind of get all my ducks in a row for the next year, and it's working well. So I'm excited to kind of I think I say this every fall, and then it ends up always being busier than I think it's going to be, but I like the idea of slowing down in the fall and the winter and being home more. As the kids get older, that doesn't actually happen that way. But that's always my ideal. So we'll see. I guess that's all I have to share. The dogs have behaved very well, so that's exciting. Now I will get back to my normal routine of laundry and sweeping and whatever else needs to be done around here. This evening I'll be having supper with my extended family. My younger brother is in town visiting with his kids. They don't live here with the rest of us. I have 2 brothers, and so most of our family lives right here in this area now. But I have one brother who still lives in another state, and he is visiting with his kids this week. So we're having suppers together every night. Tonight we'll have spaghetti. I've got a great big crock pot of sauce cooking on my counter right now, and 2 loaves of fresh bread. And I'm excited to share that with everyone and have the evening together. And then bring the kids home and get back to our regular noise. I hope you all are having a wonderful day and a wonderful week, and I look forward to hearing from you, and I hope to be back to talk with you again soon. Have a great day. Bye.